Hi everybody, this is Osprey from MyChartCoach.com, and in this video we're going to take a look at the Canadian marijuana sector. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the top stocks and some other stocks in the sector that you may not have heard of that have nice charts going and really good uptrends. So yeah, so the Canadian sector has been super hot, and the top stock is Canopy Growth. So they are the top dogs. They're competing with Aurora Cannabis is the top two stocks to own in the sector, and so currently this has been consolidating sideways. You can see here you've got RSI down here at 63, so it's still in the bull zone with room to run. Fasto's at 50. The key is the middle Bollinger Band here at 1418, the dotted purple line. Bulls want to see that level hold. The key level to break to the upside is the closing price on November 13th, the $16 level. If it can close above the $16 level, that'll signal it wants to head higher, and then you'll be talking about the all-time high here at 17 as the next big level to break. But yeah, TWMJF has a nice uptrend going. It just consolidated sideways a little bit. If it does break down there, you can see the gap filled. There was a gap over here between these two candles, so that gap filled, and there was a nice bounce off the middle Bollinger Band. Notice every time the middle Bollinger Band's been tested, there's been a bounce off that level since it's turned into support. So as long as that trend continues, the uptrend should remain intact. If it closes below and turns into resistance, you could see a drop down here to the 50 simple moving average, the 50-day simple moving average currently at 1137. So yeah, it's got a nice uptrend. It's trading in the sideways channel. It just has to break 16 and hold 1350 support. Okay, and then notice how there was a bearish crossover on MACD on both time frames. And so what you want to see now is the black line, the MACD line, cross back above the signal line on both time frames, on the 8, 13, and 5 and the 12, 26, and 9. If you look here at the TWMJF weekly chart, you can see it made an all-time high close, like high close on the weekly chart on the first week of November. You could see the high close here, and so it needs to break that level to head higher, and so that's the closing price right here on this candle. And so yeah, the break above that $16 resistance zone, that's going to signal the head higher up to 17. Notice that the candles have been staying above the pink line. That's EMA4 currently at 1417. As long as that level holds, this uptrend is super strong. So notice that there hasn't been a close below EMA4 since way back here when the EMA4 resistance first broke. So it's been holding this entire time for multiple months, signaling to keep riding. If there's a close below, that'll be your signal that it's possibly going to consolidate, and then we'll be looking for a potential bounce off of EMA8 at 1274. This is just a really nice uptrend. It took a little pause last week. That small candle, it looks like a pause candle as the candles work back into the bands. You just want to see that $14 level hold and a push through 16 resistance. So the other top dog is ACBFF, and that's Aurora Cannabis, and it's been on this awesome breakout. It's currently at frothy levels on RSI and Fasto. It had a bullish crossover on ADX with plus DI crossing ADX to the upside, and so the big move was the gap up open on Friday. Notice this was the close on Wednesday. Was just above the closing price on the 14th. That was signaling more upside potential, and then it had the big gap up open and the push higher. So the candles are still riding above EMA4. Notice that the candles had worked back the end of the bands after they had closed above. This red candle was signaling that they were going to pull back. Now the lower wick on the candle here on the what is it, the 16th or so, that almost filled the gap, but it didn't quite fill it. So yeah, so there is a small little bit of a gap there. There is a new gap in between high of day on Wednesday and low of day on last Thursday, and so if the candles do pull back to this EMA4 at $5 level at some point, that would fill the gap if there's a drop to 5. So keep that in mind. Since ACBFF NXTFF is breaking out. Yeah, let's take a look at the monthly chart, and as you can see here, this is a blue sky breakout. It's trading above all above all-time highs here. You can see this is the start of trading back in 2014. It dropped down, started this really strong uptrend. It had a sideways channels for a while, and then it broke out above the channel in September, and that signaled it wanted to head higher. And then this last month in November has been the big push on giant volume. So yeah, this is a blue sky breakout. The one thing that I keep thinking about is, the two are battling to be number one. What happens if they join forces? You could have the Canadian super company that could just totally dominate the world because they're the two top dogs. So I've just been thinking about that. They've been consuming other companies on a high rate, and you have Aurora Cannabis right now in the middle of a hostile takeover of another company in the sector. So you just got to wonder, since they are, they are becoming, two big companies dominating the industry. I wonder if at one point they will join forces. We never know, but the battle between the two is creating some really good speculation, and it's really getting the two off and running. So yeah, so let's look at APHQF. This is another top dog, Freya, and it's on a breakout mode as well. So yeah, this has got the really nice uptrend going. It started this, it had an uptrend, pulled back, bounced off the 100, all the moving averages, had the nice uptrend going again, did the same thing, pulls back to the 50-day simple moving average, bounced off of it. Notice how it double bottomed off the 50-day simple moving average, and it's been heading higher ever since. Now this has the same, the same gap up open as Aurora, so a drop down to this EMA 8 right now at 708, a drop down to 7 would fill the gap below. So it is breaking out. It's going for the blue sky breakout here, trying to just break out above all prior levels. Yeah, this is a super nice uptrend. It's got the bull cross on the 8, 13, and 5. So as long as support's holding, the signal is to keep riding. As you can see here on the weekly chart, you can see how it's busting out. It broke above the all-time high. It's been breaking out for the last couple months above this multi-year channel. So it had this or multi-month channel. It had been trading sideways for multi-months, and then here in what was this in October, it had closed above the top of the channel, and that signaled that it was wanted to break higher. It did pull back, and then finally it got back above that level, and so all through November it's been breaking out to new levels on huge volume. So yeah, it's riding EMA for support higher. For those long-term swing traders, the signal is to keep riding. So yeah, so this has been a really great play. It's pushing super hard. They're all following the lead of the other big companies in the sector, and APHQF is one of the top dogs as well. And so another stock that's doing well, that's not as a big of company, is NXTTF, but it has a really nice chart going. And yeah, these guys are rocking it out right now on the chart. Check out this big move. It was down here at 16 cents. Below 16 cents, and then now it's ran all the way up to, hit above 56. So that's a nice multi-week run here. It's pushing really hard above the upper Bollinger Band and EMA 4. If it does pull back, EMA 4 at 40 is the first support level, and then you have this 50 level here, which was the top of this candle to open from back here in September. And so yeah, so if the candles do work into the bands, they could work all the way back in and hit 40, and the chart would still be strong. So since this is breaking out super hard, let's look at a longer time frame, and you can see here it's breaking out on the weekly chart as well. So yeah, so this is a super nice move. Keep an eye on NXTF. It's breaking out on giant volume. If it does pull back on the weekly chart, you have EMA 4 down here at 34 as the next support level. So yeah, so huge move for that company as well. Another one to keep an eye on is ABCCF. This stock is it's back above the power zone on RSI and Fasto, and it had the big push 2 weeks ago on this candle above the upper Bollinger Band. We didn't know if the candles were going to work back into the bands or not. It had broken out above the October high close, and so it was this huge move, and it actually pushed higher. It's formed a small candle, but it is heading higher. The next target to break is up here in the 125 resistance zone. That was the high from back here on October 9th, and so if the uptrend can continue, that's going to be the level to break. Notice that last week's candle is floating well above the upper Bollinger Band, so if the candles do work back into the bands, you want to see this 106 level hold. If that breaks, you could see a drop down to test that dollar level. Okay, another one to take a look at is GLNNF. We talked about this with the cryptocurrency because it's both the cryptocurrency and a marijuana sector play, so it's firing on all cylinders. I'm going to show you the weekly chart again here that we've showed this before, but yeah, you can see here it's on this multi-week run. The candles are riding above EMA4, this pink line higher. There was one little close below EMA4 back here on October 9th, but it got right back above and continued higher. Even when it formed the hammer on the second week of November, it still pushed higher. It had this giant close last week up here at 220. This is on the blue sky breakout as well. This was the beginning of trading in the history of the stock back in February, and so it's just been cruising big time. Once again, if it finally closes below EMA4, that'll be a signal it's cooling down, and then you could get a trade on a pullback and then a bounce. So right now the signal is to keep riding. Okay, let's look at it, but keep in mind it did pull away above the upper Bollinger Band, so the candles could work into the bands. You just have to be watching that 15-minute chart that will signal the breakdown first. If you look at MYMMF, this is another stock that's had a really nice move in this last month. It had the super tight Bollinger Bands. Notice how tight the Bollinger Bands got in October. That was signaling, a move was coming. It had the little psych out, little fake out where it pulled down below the middle Bollinger Band, and then finally on November 7th, the close above the middle Bollinger Band and the 50 and 100-day simple moving average signaled it was in play. And then notice it started riding EMA4 support higher. The candles did pull back into the bands, and EMA8 support held. It formed this nice doji, a nice bounce candle, and it did get a nice bounce off of that. But now it's still holding EMA4. It's super strong. It's just trying to break the high close resistance, which is right up here on the closing price, up here on the 14th. So it needs to break above this candle right here on the 14th at about 162, and if it could break above 162, then it could run up here to 185, the top of this candle. So it has to close above 162. Once that happens, then that'll be the signal that it wants to head higher. If it closes below EMA4, then you can see it drop back down to EMA8. The chart's still super strong. It just it's just been consolidating sideways, and you have to be prepared for a potential pullback at some point if it doesn't break high close resistance. The red flag on the chart is there is a gap down here, so a drop to 75 would fill the gap. If you look at the weekly chart, notice that this is on big breakout mode as well. The history of the trading started as just like the other stock back here in February. It broke out. It's been above the middle Bollinger Band. You can see the gap on the chart right here down to 75, but it's been pushing hard for the last 3 weeks. It's that 210 level that it needs to break. If the candles do work back into the bands, it would be best if EMA4 at 109 held. Okay, another one to take a look at is BLOZF. Yeah, they have a different take on a different angle. They're doing the cannabis breathalyzer is what they're working on, and so yeah, this stock had a pullback. Notice how you've got our RSI now is back below 70, and you've got Fasto corrected, it's at 55. It formed the bearish evening star reversal pattern here on this big red candle on the 16th, and then the share price pulled back. It quickly held the EMA8, and the chart remained bullish. There is a gap like the other charts we're looking at there. This time the gap's from the 13th and 14th, and a drop down to about 77 would fill the gap. As long as it holds that middle Bollinger Band, the uptrend's still intact. It needs needs to get above the high close resistance levels. It's got to get above this closing price up here at about 147. If it can get above that, that's going to signal it wants to head higher. If it drops below EMA 8, that's going to be a signal it's cooling down, and you might want to shoot for that gap fill for a possible reload. Take a look at IMLFF. Okay, so this stock has got a really nice uptrend going. Similar to the other charts, it held support on the pullbacks, and then right now it's right back up at resistance. So the closing price here on November 13th is the key level to break. It's right at that level. So either that level, either 62 is going to break, or the 59 support level is going to break. So if it can close above 62, that's going to signal it wants to head higher, and then it's got to get above 68. That'll be the next big resistance level. If it drops below the 59-60 level, then that's going to signal that it's not getting through this high close resistance, and it could pull back. You really want to see this 54 level hold. That's EMA 13 and the close here on the what is it, the 16th. And if those levels fail to hold, you could see a pullback down to this middle Bollinger Band. As long as that level holds at 47, the uptrend's intact. It'd be best if it could close above that 62. So keep an eye on 62 for IMLFF this week. And then one more for this video is OGRMF. Remember, these are all Canadian marijuana sector stocks, and I'm showing you the weekly chart on this one because this is going for a breakout this week. The history of the stock here is from 2014, and it started trading right here and up near $2 or so, and so it pulled way back down here in October of 2015 where it bottomed, and it's been on a really nice uptrend ever since. It pulled back and it held the 50-week moving average level. It was trying to turn that into support after it bounced off of it, and it got back above it here in September, and so it's been on this breakout mode ever since getting back above the middle Bollinger Band and the 50-week moving average, and it's worked its way right back up to the key resistance. That's from back here in November of 2016, and so it closed right at that level for 2 weeks in a row. So we're looking for a close above that level for the week to signal it wants to head higher, and then it could run up to 340. That was the high from back in November in 2016. So keep an eye on OGRMF this week for a close above that 280 resistance zone. All right, thank you very much for viewing this video. If you'd like to learn more about charts and technical analysis, come check out our chat. We have a new chat going, and we're discussing marijuana sector plays on a daily basis, posting a lot of charts in TA. And yeah, come and join the conversation. Thank you.